All right, we're live for another Real Talk Tuesdays. My name is Justin Messina, alongside Rob Shepard. Rob, how are you doing tonight, brother?
Outstanding, man. Great to be here tonight with
Awesome,
another Real Talk.
awesome. Good to have you, man. And tonight's the second of a three or four part series on going holistic. And just a recap of last week, first video was talking about the decision making process in if you're trying to create a new lifestyle change around holistic health, right? So what does it mean to be healthy? And we just kind of we touched on, what are some of the common misconceptions around what is healthy and how to just embrace your own happiness, how to work with the process of change and not work against it, and also why diets commonly fail. And so tonight we're going to move forward into more on committing to making the change, what kind of needs to take place mentally, actually, physically, and I'm sure Rob's got some bullet points as he always has. So just want to kick it off by sort of creating a little bit of a summary on some points tonight that I think are very vital for what it takes to actually commit to change. And one of the major things that we really teased last week, I think, was was this creation of a support system and analyzing the influences that are around you, and that's a lot of different influences, but most notably the people around you. And so we're going to get into that a lot tonight for sure. I'm also going to talk about what's the difference between like when people try to make a change versus committing to make a change. And this is something that happens when people start diets a lot of times, where there's different levels of how much they're committing. So I'll get into some distinctions between those two things. And then I'm going to go into some other sort of strategies or systems that you can put in place to make sure that you are more likely to succeed. So with that said, Rob, I'd love to hear your initial thoughts on this topic, and we'll start rolling from there.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome topic, and I know there's a huge difference between regular health and going holistic. And I know there's a lot of questions come about, like as far as Rob, how do you go holistic, and what does the whole term holistic means, and how do you commit to it? Because it's a tough process because you have to figure out what you're going to eat, what's your mindset going to be, your spiritual grounds, and there's just a whole lot that comes along with it. So I get a lot of questions on that, and they're saying to me that even though how it's a tough process to do it. So tonight we're going to get more in depth and elaborate more on how to what's going to be your key factor, your why, your punch button as far as what to keep you in course, what to keep you committed, and that you can focus on and stay committed to what your process is.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. A great way to start that. And I actually want to start off a little bit with sort of like a picture of what trying versus committing can look like, as far as Rob mentioned the misconceptions. We'll definitely that'll just I think that'll come up throughout this whole hangout tonight. And but the first picture I want to paint is really just an example of what someone will do a lot of times, and actually what I did early on in my journey in understanding how important like food is, how important different elements of my lifestyle were in where I wanted to get, and what kinds of things were going to hold me back. So uh, a picture might be that you have a group of friends that you're just at a you're used to going out maybe 2 or 3 times a week or something like that. So you might, if say you're somebody who goes out, you go out to a restaurant like Applebee's or Denny's or something like that, and you do it like once a week, say like on a Monday or Tuesday, and you go out with your friends and you're eating kind of like you might have like there might be like an appetizer special or like a happy hour or something like that, and you're just used to doing that all the time. And say there's another night, maybe you're in college, or you just go out like on a Thursday to like a college bar or just a bar or a club, and that's just like a frequent thing you do like once a week on average. So if you have those things where you're like going out like 2 or 3 times a week, and it's not about going out, but it's like, are you do you have habits where you're okay, you're eating whatever happens, right? You're just in a group, and you're not thinking individually, you're thinking as a group. So you're just like, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I want on this day, or I'm going to go out to the bar on this day and I'm going to drink whatever, right? So it's obviously there's no generality with any of what I'm saying, but it's all specifics. Like, you just gotta be aware of where you're going. But say that's your general picture, and then you want to all of a sudden, okay, I'm gonna start eating better. I'm gonna start taking care of myself. I'm gonna start to put things physically in my body in forms of food, but also the influences around me. I'm gonna start to do things that are going to benefit me and fuel me in a better way. But what most people will do, and like I said, this is exactly the kind of thing that I did as well, was you would a person is more inclined to keep going out to those places because it's what is the pattern, right? So they'll go out to Applebee's, they'll go out to the club or the bar on those nights, and they'll say, okay, well, hey, I'm on a diet, so I'm not going to be eating what you guys are eating. Or you go out to the bar and you're like, I'm not going to drink as much um, because I'm really watching myself now. And that's an okay starting step. Obviously, it's better than where you were at, but at the same time, you're making it very hard on yourself in that kind of environment to try to succeed, and you make it very, very easy to fail because all it takes is, it's like, I don't know a good analogy here, but like you're just in a completely negative environment for where you're going to go. And it might feel easy to have a setback. It might feel easy to have like that safety net to fall back into your old lifestyle, and then what happens? You're still not happy. You're still not fulfilled. You're still not going where you need to go. So when it comes down to it, that's the picture of just like trying to make it happen. And there's a whole other side to that, which is the picture of committing to making the change. And committing a lot of times is you know not what a lot of people want to hear sometimes, but what it takes dropping friends sometimes. It takes dropping experiences that you might actually enjoy, but are not serving you, and they're holding you back from a lot higher levels of happiness and fulfillment that are waiting for you. So when it takes when it comes down to that level of support, you have to be the independent thinker. If the people in your group are just all doing the same things all the time, and no one's really thinking for themselves when it comes to, like, say, if you're in a group of friends where people are just eating stuff that's basically slowly killing them, they're doing things in their life that are slowly killing them, you're either going to step out and be an independent thinker and be like, I'm going to take care of myself. I can't let these people drag me down, and like, because if you let it happen and you just keep going with the flow, you're just gonna sink with them. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to share about, like, this picture of like trying versus actually committing to making the change, because later on I'm gonna share some points about like what can you actually do to make success easier rather than harder, because most times people want to make a change, they think like, I'll just be like strong and have willpower and push through it, but all the conditions of their life haven't changed. So it's extremely hard to change your pattern of thinking, change your pattern of acting when all the conditions around you are exactly the same. So it just reminds you of your old pattern over and over and over again, and you're in like an endless loop where you can't get out of it. So that's something to really think about beyond just like, what do I eat, what do I drink, things like that. So with that said, Rob, I'll turn it over to you for now, and we'll keep
That
going,
is
man.
that is an awesome point, because we all think at times where it's just the food alone, and it's the gym, or it's our weight, or it's our the way we feel. It's a whole holistic approach, and it's all start from your surrounding, your mindset, as what Justin was saying. Because if we don't make sure that that whole holistic approach around with us, like our surrounding and around the people that we're around, and telling the truth, it's just a spiritual base. There's a lot that comes with that. And I know that society is so focused on the food, this diet pill, or let me jump to here because this is what I'm trying to lose, or I'm trying to lose this weight, or I'm trying to start running, and doesn't understand that once you get into that holistic approach towards things, your surrounding gets better, you feel better about yourself, you empower the people around you by the things you do. Like, for example, if you're out and you're saying, okay, I'm living this type of lifestyle, You cannot sit out and say, okay, I'm going to be chowing down on two cheeseburgers and a whole bunch of French fries and a cup of soda, and then behind closed door you're saying, okay, well, I'm doing this holistic approach, because while you're there, you're still making a difference in someone's life, because they're watching the way you eat and says, oh wow, I wish I can eat this way. Oh wow, I wish I can act this way. And that's when the empowerment come, and it becomes the ripple effect. So it's all on what we do, how we act, how we cooperate, how we act towards our loved ones. Uh, as I said before, your spiritual base, because once you allowed your body to be purified in that whole holistic sense, your but you get to absorb things better. Like I told some examples out there where, for instance, if sometimes I'll be looking for something and I can't find it, and I'm searching, but because that whole purification piece, your mind will just tells you, okay, look under the couch, or look under the bed, or look here, because you keep your body in that whole holistic approach mindset, that it speaks to you from that sense to tell you exactly where it is that you can go and look for it.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Rob, because it is one of those things where you can help the people around you as well, but it's all about balance. It's like the balance in your life is important, and also the balance within making the change, right? It's like a whole another thing where you can have people that are not necessarily where you're at, but then there's
Mm-hmm.
people right where you're at that you can roll with and make the changes with. But then there's also the people that you want around you that are, further along than you, that you're going to want to listen to and you want to take advice from and see what worked for them and try to, find what works for you. So it's like this whole balance of like you can have people you don't have to completely drop all your friends if you can help them too, if they're they have to be willing to help themselves, but then you can have people where you're at and then people further along where you're at, when it comes to making the change that you want to make. So that's completely huge, and that's an awesome point, Rob. And when it comes to like actually like having people around you that actually want to make the changes, you know what can you do, like, right? So what are like some ways to start to implement things that are going to make it easier for you to actually commit and succeed in what you want to do? So when it comes to just nutrition in general, one of the things that is I think we're trained is that you know when you're eating, like, so much, especially in a United States, it's like so much is around taste, and I'm sure in a lot of other places around the world increasingly now, like when we eat, we're trained that we have to have something that tastes good, and that's kind of like a primary goal for people. That's just, I think, in a lot of cultures, it's what you learn, and it's dangerous with in the United States with so many things like fast food and processed foods and things that are all right in front of us. And that is the key point. Like whatever's right in front of you, you know, it's so easy to just grab at. And this is the same concept of like, don't just rely on your willpower. That'll come. Like you have to build on that. But immediately, you're not going to just have willpower. You're not going to just have the mind program where you're just going to snap into it, unless you have some heavy duty like mind training going on. But if you're just doing this, if you're just making a change and you don't have any crazy coaches or anything like that, just get the support system and move forward in a way where you could say, okay, what's going on in my house, wherever I live, what's around me? Control that environment as much as you can, because if you have different foods, like, so say you get a craving, right? You get like a fat craving or like a sugar craving, and there's something around, like if there's just like a box of donuts on the counter, or if there's like ginger ale next to the fridge, you're like gonna want it because it's right there in front of you and it's gonna satisfy your craving. And there's only so many times you're gonna pass by that, look at that ginger ale, and be like, okay, um, you know, I'm not going to have that. It's not good for me. I'm not going to have that. It's not good for me. Leave, come back. I'm not going to have that. It's not good for me. That's what's going on in your mind over and over and over and over again. But instead of having to fight that battle, what can you do to completely remove everything? And that's why, like, I know a lot of health coaches that do complete pantry raids, right? They go into a pantry, they go into your fridge, and you just throw out everything that that is not good for you, that's not going to fuel you and fuel your body, fuel your mind. And that's powerful because all of a sudden you release so much of that burden on yourself where you don't have to try to, you don't have to try to make it happen. You're already living in a space where it's like, okay, this is um, this is what's in my fridge now. Like I have like bunch of a bunch of different vegetables. I have good sources of protein and so on and so forth. And if you can commit to that and you could be like, okay, this is our, whether it's you yourself or people around you, this is why support's so important, people around you. Like if you can live in that environment, all of a sudden you have no choice but to eat healthy just because that's the environment you created. And that is so much more important than the day to day, okay, what am I going to do today? Am I going to eat something bad or eat something good? Because at that point, the only willpower that you have to really fight is when you go out and say, if you're passing by like fast food places on the way home from work or something like that, that becomes the only thing that you have to resist. So the more that you can make your primary environment like very healthy, and it goes beyond food, it goes into all different parts of your lifestyle, your work environment, your sleep environment. It could go, it goes throughout your whole life, but the more are in control of your environment, the to make things easier, the less decisions you have to make, the more likely you're just going to fall into new patterns if you've set up systems that way. So yeah, I'll get into a little bit more about that, I guess, before we close it out, but I'd love to hear more of what you have over there, Rob.
Justin, as you was talking about making food taste good, and I always like to, once we get on these things, we get on these calls, I like to make sure that we give out some very good detailed points that at least the viewers can actually leave with something, I would say, tangible. Let me use that word. And you use the word taste good. And I think when you said taste good, I know we're probably wondering to ourselves, when food tastes good, what makes it taste good? Back in the days growing up, we used to use sugar. And it used to be, back in Jamaica, it was sugar. And mostly said brown sugar because the white sugar was expensive. And why were the change that was made, lately, I should say probably over the years, the change was made from regular sugar and went into the word high fructose corn syrup, which have no clue because I guess supposedly it helps it's a cheaper way to make food. So our food society, our food system decided that they're going to find a cheaper way to make food, but it's also a quicker way to take a person's health, and you end up in the hospital. So here's a couple of tips, and that word high fructose corn syrup, which it's probably been about, I'll say 75 to 80% of the foods that we eat today. If we're not having organics or eating from a natural source, you would take a look now and you'll notice it after we finish off this call. Look in your cabinet, look in your and you will find high fructose corn syrup in most of what you're having. And I give you a couple of things. You guys are familiar with, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Dr. Mark Hyman. I know, Justin, you are familiar with him, and he have a statement out. It says current media debate about the benefits and the lack of harm of high fructose corn syrup. Our diet messes the obvious. Average American increases their consumption of high fructose corn syrup from sugar sweetener drinks and processed food. Did you hear what I just repeat? Processed foods, from 0 to over 60 pounds per year. That's dangerous. He says during that time, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And we wonder why the obesity rate is so high and why we have to make that commitment. And, at the end of this, we'll give you some tips on how you will utilize your mindset and how you utilize your why to make that commitment. Also, Mark Hyman said, during the time period, obesity rates have more than tripled, and diabetes incidence has increased more than 7-fold. Not perhaps the only cause, but a fact that cannot be ignored. And we wondering, like, why so many folks out there today is being diabetic. Now, we all know from becoming diabetes. People say, oh, well, we're just eating too much sugar. Well, there's a difference between natural sugar, artificial sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup. And the reason being is it's when you're eating a lot of these processed food, these sugary drinks, these sodas, uh, eating things where it tastes so good because the high fructose corn syrup is what being used and it's actually being modified from corn, as you can tell from the word high fructose corn syrup. And it's a lot cheaper that way to make foods, but then it actually causes your health. And now you find so many in the hospital struggling for, to wonder why, and you're asking, why is this? Why is that? Now you can kind of get some answers as far as what the reason is. Also, a couple more tips on that. It says doubt, confusion are the currency of deception, and the key sowing seeds of complicity. These are used skillfully through massive print and television advertising campaigns by the corn refiners. So you'll find these things are being advertised on a regular. If you sit in front of your TV, you're not going to see so many things coming by saying about health. Do this, don't eat this. You're always going to see the Burger King, the McDonald's, the soda, the this, all the things that's bad for our health is going to be advertising a lot. And then if you find the things that are good, going to come on very late at night, around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you'll notice this now. You'll never see anything about a blender to do smoothies or make juices come on at 8, 9 o'clock in the regular time or in the daytime. It's going to be at 2 a.m. in the morning when people are sleeping. Why is that? Because it's a way of keeping the information away from the mass. Justin and myself comes in, and other certified holistic health coaches out there can help to bring this message out. And that's why we post on Facebook to help to get people to understand that there's a better way and there's a holistic way of living. So just to throw that out there so you can take a look at what you're having and just pay close attention to high fructose corn syrup because it's pretty harmful. And it's, as I said, I'm the messenger, and I'm reading it from actually he's a holistic doctor, very well known out there in the field. And if you look him up, again, his name is Mark Hyman, and his last name spelled Hyman, and he's an MD. So it's something that you want to take a good look at and just try to follow it, because heart disease is taking over on a massive rate. Obesity is taking over, and the main one is cancer. Last week I was actually in the hospital visiting my mom, and I was in the elevator, and all I saw was just coming in. Every time I turn around, there was a cancer patient. And we sometimes think this type of things are normal or it just happened to us. It happened to us, but yes, we can say genetics, but also we can try to work to be careful on what we are having and make that commitment. So back to you, Justin.
Yeah, those are really good points. And Mark Hyman's great. He does a lot of great work with diabetes and obesity, and it reminded me of how a lot of times people will, there'll be people with diabetes. It's more well known now that it's, a link to obesity, but a lot of times people think they start to develop some sort of condition, and what I hear a lot of times is they're like, oh well, I don't have I don't have diabetes, or I don't have a certain type of illness or disorder that is commonly known to be linked to food, right? Basically food intake. And what people tend to think is that there is no relation if they haven't heard of the relation, but in reality, food, macronutrients, micronutrients, they affect you at a cellular level. So that's obviously going to play a big role in your body's ability to fight off anything that's going on in your body that's not welcome. So it obviously it always matters. And that's just at a basic level of fighting off disease, fighting off disorders. But then at a higher level, how can you optimize your mind? How can you optimize your physical ability? How do you prolong your life? So that you can feel young longer and have a role, like an active role in society, even into your 70s, 80s, even 90s. So those kinds of things are so important moving forward. And a lot of times when you're a lot. You think you're younger in your life. You think, oh well, that's not really relevant to me, but it really is relevant to all of us. So one last point I wanted to make was how you know one another thing that you can do or we can do to really sort of put ourselves in a position to succeed and really minimize the probability that we can like that we'll actually like fail or have multiple setbacks. And the way we can do this is using this is a business term that is called a pre-mortem, and it's what businesses use to forecast what would happen if they were to fail, right? If the business was to completely fail, shut down, what would have been the causes of that? Like kind of like looking into the future. And you can do this with yourself in anything that you do. You can, any serious change that you're about to take on in your life, look forward and say, okay, what are my strengths in this? What are my weaknesses? Where can I be susceptible to fall here? And what can I put in place to make sure this doesn't happen? So that's just a very quick routine and that you can do to make sure like, okay, like this is not going to be the easiest thing in the world. I'm changing mental patterns. I'm changing my patterns of action. I might have to change my support circles, right? So all these things are happening. There's bound to be things that you're not going to be prepared for, things that come up. But the more you can understand where you might be susceptible instead of going into it blindly and just hoping for the best, that way you can start to develop very simple systems. Sometimes will be very, very effective in making sure that you can make better changes and make sure that they actually stick with you. So with that said, I think Rob, I think you had some more points you said, and I think you can sort of close up with that, and then we'll talk about what exactly that we're working on and how people can reach us.
Okay. Couple steps that you can use to get that commitment level going. You have to look at your why. That's the big first step you want to do is look at your why. Like, why do you want to live a holistic lifestyle? I know my why was my son when he was born. I knew that I had to make changes, and I like to use that story because I know it's very deep, and it's one of those things where you have to kind of figure out that every time you're going to make that step to go backwards, fall back, you look forward and says, I have to make this difference for whether it's going to be your wife, whether it's going to be your husband, whether it's going to be your son, your daughter, your grandmother, somebody, wherever you decided to make that why be. It can be for yourself. So you make that commitment by doing that. And I just want to give you a couple of steps on how to go about that. Okay? Just make sure you commit yourself by being as open and united as possible with you and to removing from yourself anything that you decide is going to obstruct you from going forward. Look around you, and if you know that going out to the clubs and drinking three bottles of beer or drinking 4 margaritas, you got to remember, no, you're talking about holistic. Every time you eat or drink something, it processes through your bloodstream. So that's not going to be an holistic standpoint because now you're allowing yourself to get toxic. Whether we know it or not, that whenever we eat, it goes right through our bloodstream, and that allows, it can be good or bad. Now, another step, you can commit yourself, participate in full personal development and spiritual evaluation. Sit back and look at what's your basis, what's your grounds, what is it going to be, what's your spiritual base will be, okay? And just take a good look at that and just get that time where you need to yourself to really think, process before you jump into something, okay? Commit yourself by telling the truth. Another thing where you find is there's no reason to lie if you're working on an holistic approach to your lifestyle. So don't put yourself in a position where you have to tell a lie, because sometimes we may think out there that, okay, we're going to lie our way out of things, but it's only going to affect you in the long run, no matter how you look at it. Okay. Another thing is make sure that you're committing yourself to empowering others, because when you live in that lifestyle of knowing that what you do is benefiting to someone else, now have some form of support system around you because you know that people are looking up to you for whatever you're doing or whatever you're bringing to the table, and that also will help you to manifest your full potential. So those are some things that you want to take a good look at, and just to knowing that you have something to focus on a regular to keep you going, because we all have our weak spots where we will just lose our commitment level and just say, okay, I'm gonna fall back. Like I went vegan 4 years ago, and I work around meat, and I see that I just like, nope, I'm not going there because all I have to think about is the positive side and how I feel that gets me going through each and every day. So those are just some points that I wanted to go through with you. And if you ever run into a problem where you're falling back, get on Facebook. Get into your surround system that you have and said, okay, you know what? Look at this person. They're going forward. I'm going to continue to go forward. All right. Back to you, Justin.
Awesome, Rob. Awesome, man. And I think we were definitely going to wrap up now. It's been about a half hour, and you know, I think as you mentioned, Rob, we're both health coaches, health and lifestyle coaches, and both we coach in ways. But if someone's trying to reach you and they feel what you're putting out there, how are people going to reach you, and how are people ultimately going to work with you, Rob?
You can reach me at shepherdfit.info, and it's shepherd like in the Bible. I like to say that because sometimes it can get spelled incorrectly. So it's shepherdfit.info. You can also reach me on Facebook at Shepherd Fit, and you can also reach me there too at Rob Shepherd 72, and connect. Let's make a difference and change this whole ripple effect that's going on with the opposite direction of our health and bring it back to the good side.
Absolutely, because whenever you're making a change, it all comes down to not this ideal of being healthy or anything like that. It's all about your own happiness moving forward. So, just like Rob, you could find me my website here. You could see all my information below, justin-messina.com, on social media at jmslife, and over at my website you can schedule a free session with me, and it's a free focus session where you can just dive into where you're at in reality and where you can go, different options for you based on where you're at and your level of commitment. So that's how I like to do things, so that you can kind of put yourself in the right place. And just a general note on coaching and mentors. All like the people who are most serious, like professional athletes, people high performing people, they all have coaches and mentors, because that's like the quickest way to kind of leapfrog different levels, to level up your life. And it just depends on what your level of commitment is, in yourself and where you're headed. And you can take some free information, you can run with it. Ultimately, you can join a group, you can do all kinds of things, and coaching, mentoring is just sort of like a higher level version of that. So, with that said, I think we wrap up for tonight. We'll be back next week with a third part to this Going Holistic series. And with that said, like we say at every Real Talk Tuesdays, 8 o'clock Eastern each Tuesday, is we're closing out. So it's time to say, live Vision Fit, we're out.
We're out.